Half-Bloods, it's time! Hello everyone, and welcome to my second channel, where I will hopefully be putting out more videos that I enjoy making, but can't go on my main channel for algorithm reasons. This is likely where all my episode reviews will go up in the future, so without further ado, let's get to Percy Jackson and the Olympians Season 2! First impressions for this season are actually pretty good. My hopes for this season were that they would be able to fix the issues with Season 1, namely characters knowing more than they should, and the occasional bit of forced/awkward story structure, with changes from the book that make no sense. These sorts of decisions are present in the first two episodes, but thankfully they are far less prevalent than they were in Season 1. Even the first episode of Season 1 started showing cracks despite having many iconic moments from the source material. Episode 1 of this season opens up with Grover on Polyphemus' island, where he finds the skeleton of a satyr and his magic reed pipes that he has in the books. He also is found by some of Luke's followers, and after a quick escape courtesy of the power he can channel through the pipes, he gets captured by a monster wrapping its tentacle around him. Then Percy wakes up with the blanket tied around his leg, just like the tentacle was with Grover. Nice touch. We see his room with some notes on it, including the word desk written in ancient Greek, and photos of Grover and Annabeth. I like that Percy still thinks of them. Then it's revealed that Tyson is living with them, and they already know that he's a Cyclops. This isn't a problem for me. I mean, sure, it's a change from the book, but it doesn't change anything about Tyson's relationship with Percy. Even in the book, he was basically a part of the group before they found out he wasn't human. Then it's revealed that Sally also had a dream. Okay, I wrote the script saying that I thought it was because she was sent the dream by Poseidon, but then I watched the Olympus Reports video where she suggested that it's probably due to something that was revealed in Wrath of the Triple Goddess, being that, minor spoiler warning by the way, that Sally at one point had the potential to become a witch, and that I think is the more likely reason as to why she got the dream. We get acknowledgement of Tyson's ability to mimic voices, which will also be important later. Then we come to a change I'm not that big a fan of. The story jumps right to Annabeth and the Grey Sisters, thus skipping the dodgeball game. Isn't the first episode supposed to have the same title as the corresponding chapter in the book, I Played Dodgeball with Cannibals? Sure, I guess the Lastrygonians attacking them later on could be considered dodgeball, but this is the change in these first two episodes that I am the most annoyed by. The attack in the book served as a subtle bit of world building, making it clear how out-of-the-blue monster attacks could be and how much trouble they could cause, especially when the mist makes Percy look like he's the troublemaker. I'm guessing it was cut for budgetary reasons, and without it, the beginning of this story felt a bit slow. That said, I do like the rest of this scene. I like how hostile Annabeth is to Tyson before she finds out Percy knows him. I also like everything with the Grey Sisters, them revealing that Annabeth dreams about Percy and Luke with many boyfriend accusations, which she rebukes. And them not revealing too much despite Percy threatening to drop their eye out the window. Then when they get to the outside of camp, Annabeth and Percy have a moment where she never responded to his letters. This will also come up later. The first two episodes reveal that there is a bit of a rift between Annabeth and Percy due to miscommunication. This is another change from the book, but one, it makes sense based on their characterization, and even context established by later books. And two, it works as a believable conflict for them to work out for these first two episodes. Then the Giants attack. Tyson protects Percy, and Annabeth, seeing how much Percy cares about Tyson, and seeing that Tyson also cares about Percy, lets Tyson into the camp. In the book, the Colchis Bulls almost broke in, but here one of the Giants got in because he followed Tyson through the opening Annabeth made in the barrier before he was killed by Clarice. I'm a bit disappointed, but again, I'm guessing this was a budget cut, and technically they did have to use the Lastrygonians if they wanted to keep the episode title. Percy makes a comment about Clarice's spear being fixed, and she tells him to shut up. Then our heroes see Luke poisoning Thalia's tree, and Annabeth knows exactly what was used to poison it for some reason. On the plus side, we get to see Luke escaping on Blackjack. I do like the rest of this scene though. Tantalus shows up, and we get to see that he's making all the campers treat him like a king, which technically he was in life, but it really makes you hate him right off the bat, and I love it. He tries to have Tyson killed, but he's prevented once the Cyclops is claimed by Poseidon. And we find out why Chiron was removed, because he's the son of Kronos, like Zeus. Percy points this out, but is immediately shut down. This is a stupid reason to fire Chiron, but the reason to fire him in the book was also stupid. My only question is, Why was he fired now instead of right after the gods found out Kronos was rising? Did they notice the increased activity of Luke's army, or the coffin with Kronos' remains getting taken? I'm not sure this will be addressed. Anyways, Percy walks through camp with a disapproving look on his face. In the book, he was super displeased because Camp Half-Blood is his favorite place in the world, and he hated seeing it in the messed up state Tantalus had left it in. Here though, it doesn't look that different, and like with the lack of a dodgeball game, I'm a bit disappointed. Fortunately, we get a moment with Percy and Tyson. Percy probes Tyson, asking him if he knew he was a son of Poseidon. Annabeth interrupts by reaching out, and thankfully she tells Percy to get some sleep, which he really needs after today. Tyson then reveals how he knew, or at least had a feeling that his dad was Poseidon, and we get to see the scars on his backs. He then says, "You can sleep here, but you can't sleep on the streets because monsters will get you." Thus quickly characterizing Tyson, saying that he's been through a lot, and I'm guessing that is why he tries to stay upbeat all the time. Before the episode ends, we see that Annabeth went to Thalia's tree for comfort, and to try and figure out a way to save her. Percy has another dream where he switches clothes with Grover temporarily due to the empathy link, which is also the cause of the dreams. We learn that he was delivered here by a monster. Interesting change since Polyphemus didn't have another monster that was loyal to him delivering satyrs in the book, but this isn't too significant of a change. Grover figures out what is going on, and he tells Percy where he is, and that the Golden Fleece, which is on the island, can save the camp. The episode ends with Percy going to see Annabeth to tell her the good news, and he knows exactly where Annabeth is. Good sign. Then we get to the new credits for this season, foreshadowing all the dangers that are yet to come. There's too much for me to go over all of it, but we see the sirens portrayed as mermaid-like, even though in the book they were portrayed as bird women. This isn't quite how they looked in the trailer, but that could just be an illusion. Also, if mermaid-like is their true appearance, how are they going to explain all the merfolk in Poseidon's palace if we ever get there in Season 5? Assuming that scene isn't cut for budgetary reasons as well, which, now that I think about it, it probably will be. On the plus side, we see the hippocampi in the end credits, so maybe Rainbow won't be cut like I thought based on the trailer. Guess we'll find out next week. Episode 2 actually starts with the Stymphalian birds trying to drill through the barrier, but they can't get through just yet. Though there doesn't seem to be much effort to make Percy sassy like he is in the books. There wasn't really a way to adapt his inner monologue. We do get a comment from him saying, "Getting in trouble is like breathing for me," and I love it. We also get to see that Tantalus can't even sip water from a straw, showing his curse is still active. Again, attention to detail. Percy distracts Tantalus so Annabeth can sneak into Chiron's office and call him. Thankfully, he's figured out a loophole in the rules that allows him to leave his cabin, that being that he can participate in camp-wide activities like the chariot race, even under house or I guess cabin arrest. While all of that is going on, Annabeth sneaks into Chiron's office. A clever plan, though this wasn't in the book. I like how it sets up the events of the episode. This explains how she knows about the music collection that Chiron has, and it gives her a chance to iris message him. He's visiting the party ponies. Not sure if they will be cut from the rest of the season, though. Chiron tells her what she needs to know, but he also tells her about the Great Prophecy, and why it is important not to tell Percy, and make sure he doesn't go on the quest. Chiron is obviously afraid Percy might side with Kronos, who clearly planned the quest, but he doesn't know how. Annabeth tells Percy they will be separate for the race because whoever wins gets a boon, and will therefore be able to go on a quest to get the Golden Fleece, which can save the camp. Percy returns to his cabin, and Tyson wrote Sally a letter letting her know what happened. Awfully considerate of him. And he fixes the chariot without too much trouble. The next day, the chariot race starts, and is that Beckendorf in the Hephaestus chariot? Tantalus says no killing, but dirty tricks are encouraged. Annabeth tells her friend to stop Percy so he won't get suspicious of her. Clarice sabotages the other chariots, including the Hephaestus chariot, which causes it to explode. Clarice fights Percy, and Tyson does his best to help. Then the birds actually manage to attack, and Annabeth knows just what to do to get rid of them. We see Mr. D presenting the issue here, and Tantalus admits the barrier will fail soon. But he also has the coordinates to the fleece's location wrong. Clarice gets to lead the quest, because she won the chariot race, and surprisingly she picks Annabeth to go with her, who then tells her not to pick Percy despite how much sense having a son of the sea god makes for a quest into the Sea of Monsters. And she picks Chris Rodriguez instead, a decision that I'm sure won't come back to bite her one bit. Foreshadowing is a literary device. Then Tyson admits that he heard what Annabeth said before the chariot race, furthering Percy's suspicion. Then Percy has another empathy link dream, and we finally get to see both him and Grover in the wedding dress. Grover also says Annabeth may have a good reason for not telling Percy. This will be important later. Percy goes to the sea to ask Poseidon for his blessing to go on the quest. The book built up Percy's strained relationship with his father as a point of conflict, and he eventually learns to accept it over the course of the story. We've seen in the trailer that Poseidon does eventually show up in person, unlike in the book, but maybe this will play out the same this season, just with a slightly different resolution. Hermes shows up with a message and supplies like in the book, and he tries to tell Percy not to give up on Luke. No major spoilers for show-only fans, but I like that this is being established now. I'll be interested to see how it plays out. Then we get a scene where Percy and Annabeth finally tackled the void that has been growing between them. Annabeth admits that she may never understand what it is like to be normal, but Percy still wants them to be friends. Thankfully, this is where Annabeth agrees to go on the quest with him, so I guess they are still friends. With some help from Tyson, they are able to escape despite Tantalus trying to stop them with a crossbow, and Percy deflects one of the crossbow bolts with Riptide. Not surprising considering he does something similar in the books. And they set out towards the Princess Andromeda. Final thoughts. Even though there are still many small changes to the plot despite the broad strokes being the same, I still enjoyed these first 2 episodes more than most of Season 1. Sure, I don't like that they cut the dodgeball game, but most of the other changes they made make sense based on the conflict setup and establishing many things that we do know from the books, like how Percy, Annabeth, and Tyson justified setting out on the quest with the supplies from Hermes. I was a bit nervous at first, but I think they have finally found their footing with how to adapt the books, while remaining standalone and enjoyable for fans whether they have read the books or not, which, just like last season, only time will tell if they keep it up. In any case, thank you all so much for watching. This is a new channel, so any support you can give it in the form of likes, comments, shares, and subscriptions would be appreciated. I am Kyle in Mythos, and I'll see you all next time.